You're listening to the World Footy Net Podcast. Welcome to the World Footy Net Podcast. You can email us at podcast@worldfooty.net or alternatively, post your comments on the World Footy Net Facebook page.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the weekly international podcast of WFN. I am your not-so-humble host, Hooligan Broom, and if you want to follow me on Twitter, my handle is Hooligan Broom. With us this week is our founder and very humble engineer, Dre Footy. How you doing, Dre?
I'm doing fairly well. This is Dre Footy out there, the Twitter name of the same name, of course. And if you want to follow World Footy Net, use @WFootyNet and get involved in the footy banner with us. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, also this week we have the always lovely Alex. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. And you guys can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/AlexV, spelled with a K and two E's.
All righty. And, of course, we have Andre Sherrard, a.k.a. Angry. How are you doing, Andre?
I'm doing very nice. My name is Andre Sherrard. I am the not humble Dre of the group. And my Twitter name is AHT4005.
Which means nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
And this week, we have someone new joining us. All the way from London, Miss Louise K. Louise,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm very, very well, thank you. Thanks for letting me get involved this week.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my Twitter name, of course, if anyone wants to follow me, is @MissLouiseK, and that's KAY on the end of it.
Well, all right, guys. We're going to go ahead and get into it straight away here. First thing on the agenda for this evening is the Euro final. I personally was expecting a incredibly dull game between a bunch of daft twats that I really didn't care about. But I gotta say, reluctantly watching the game, Spain was brilliant. It was beautiful football. They were organized. They looked relaxed and confident. It was nice football to watch for me. But that being said, Sherrard, what was your impressions of that?
I mean, there's really nothing else to say. I mean, you pretty much said it all. Spain was just that great, and Italy basically played to their advantage of, trying to play with them.
Right.
So, Spain was just able to just break them down any type of way they could. And I think Italy should have probably went with that 5 midfield like they did in the first game, which was more successful than having 4 in the midfield. Then you have Pirlo having to work just as hard in the midfield defensively than he did in the first game. So that kind of hindered his play, and he wasn't able to do the things he did in the previous game. So I think they should have did that. And if you play head to head with Spain, they're gonna beat you. I mean, that's all I can say, and I don't think it's gonna stop anytime soon, really.
Your boy looked frustrated, dude.
Well, I mean, he could have. To be honest, he could have blown up, but I mean, he was at least working for the team, which is a big plus on his part.
He really was. That he showed maturity, because I kept watching him and I'm like, Balotelli, any minute, he's mad.
I was saying the same thing.
Yeah, he's knocking somebody's teeth out. He's going to get the gas can. He's lighting somebody on fire. Petrol bombs. I'm like, it's coming. Really showed some maturity, playing for this past season. Seen that kind of maturity out of him.
And probably next.
I think like Balotelli, he had to, because he's been just making some really foolish mistakes, especially in the Premiership. Like, I mean, obviously it's in the Premier League, but he needed to tone it down. Otherwise, he's gonna lose respect from all these fans and his teammates and stuff. So he needed to do that. He had to.
Absolutely, Louise. You watched the final?
Do you know what I didn't? I didn't watch it. No, I did. I predicted that Italy would win, to be honest, because I would have preferred Italy to win. I was really surprised that it ended up 4-0 to Spain. I don't know why. I didn't expect it at all. But no, I didn't watch it. I heard it was an amazing game. Any game that's going to be 4-0 is going to be pretty damn exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't expect it at all, to be honest.
What would tell us why, other than just it's weird you'd want the Ides to win, but for me at least,
Why
I don't know.
this?
I mean, granted, we were looking at two teams that, and I was surprised about this too. I didn't see a lot of diving, other than Busquets. But what do you expect out of Busquets?
Yeah, he had the nerve
I
to
didn't
complain
see a
about
lot of
somebody else diving.
Yeah, they played, but Louise, why Italy for you? Other than just preference.
Yeah, other than just preference, I spoke about it with a lot of my mates. I mean, when I was doing my predictions, I sort of, confer with a lot of my male friends, and I just thought that Italy was the better team, to be honest, just like overall throughout the tournament. But the thing is with like the European games is that it could just go to anyone. Most people would have put a solid bet on Germany being in the final, and they weren't. So
yeah, that was my pick.
Yeah, that was my pick too.
My pick.
Yeah.
Also.
So yeah, it can just go any way. I mean, I never thought Greece didn't do too bad. Greece should have been failing. They've got no money as a country, so let alone being able to have a decent team and stuff. And so it's kind of like the Euros is quite difficult to predict because it can just be anyone's game. It will never be England's, but it could be anyone else's.
Oh, curse your forked tongue.
Curveball from Louise.
Yeah.
No, it's honest.
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of like we saw with the Netherlands, got a bunch of big egos on the field, and they can't seem to. They're all excellent footballers, pound for pound, probably the best in the world, but they just can't pull it together like Italy did.
Well, let me speak up for England
because Spain did.
Let me speak up for England because I think that under the circumstances, when you consider the management situation going into this tournament, Hodgson had 30 days basically.
Yeah, like 40
pick a
days.
team. Yeah, pick a team, train them, put in strategy, tactics, and whatnot. And he's dealing with these huge egos. And when you see what happened, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Lee.
To be honest, like obviously, I'm from England and stuff, but no, I've not got a lot of respect for the English football team. I mean, after was it the World Cup a few years ago in South Africa when they got kicked out and then they were all pictured by the pool smoking cigars like it was nothing. They've got no respect and they're really arrogant. They think they're a lot better than what they are.
And
so
I felt the same way up until this tournament, though. And I think the management has a lot to do with it, the management and the press. And Hodgson made some choices with personnel coming in. And think too about the short time period he had. The first two games they played like a team I have not seen England play like in forever. And so that's why I want to say under the circumstances, I thought they did well. If he has more time, I think the true measuring stick for England is going to be the World Cup. What he's going to do with the 2 years he has, to prepare to get some of these young players like the Ox and Welbeck up to speed, and see what happens. But to me, it's a promising start, and I think as a whole, this tournament has been, for me, a guy who doesn't really get into international football. It was very positive, very open, and refreshing after the last World Cup, which I thought was dire. I thought it was very negative, slow, boring. And this was a breath of fresh air. And the only bad game that I saw was that Spain-Portugal game, which was like watching grass grow.
Well, I mean, for me, I didn't like England, Italy. Some disorganization.
The second
that's
half
going on, in the England squad just became apparent. Threw balls to nobody, into no man's land. And they're looking at each other like, oh, was I supposed to make that run?
Yeah, they lost discipline. They lost discipline in that game.
Yeah, you numpty. Anyway, Alex,
Yeah.
what was your impression of the final?
Well, like someone mentioned earlier, there was a lot less diving here with Spain, and it was just very nice to watch the Spanish team play. They played at their full potential, and, that's the thing I think about big tournaments. It's not the team with the potential that makes it in the end. It's the team with the results. And right now, I think that the reason that Italy didn't make it, it's the same reason that other teams didn't make it. They're not at, other than the fact that they're not at the technical level the Spaniards are at, they're not physically fit enough to play against them. And, I'm not saying Spain is the only physically fit national team in the world. There are other teams out there that are in extremely good physical condition but because of where they live or like the certain lifestyle that they lead, but their problems are that their lack of technique, because no one's investing in the team. They don't have, world-class managers coaching them. And then there's the factor that you can also have, one shot on goal in a tournament and in a game and end up beating a team that just spent the whole 90 minutes attacking. Like, 2010 World Cup, Switzerland's win against Spain, which was totally unexpected because, Spain went on to win the tournament.
Well, moving on, we've kind of already covered it. I mean, Italy, to me, seeing as how some of the other games that I watched, Italy played real substandard. I
think there was a reason for that.
Well, yeah. I mean,
called Spain.
Well, I mean, even it just didn't look like the same team for me. Spain just, made those guys look like they were like, Notts County or something.
Well, that's it. Italy is traditionally a tough, organized club, but Spain's ability and patience on the ball, skill level, they were just head and shoulders above Italy. And that dictated to Italy how they were able to play. Italy wanted to play, Spain weren't letting them, And it's funny to me that Spain, which used to be known as the national team that couldn't win the big one,
yeah,
a few years have now won 3 major tournaments in a row.
Yeah.
The last European Cup, the World Cup, and now another European Cup.
I do think some of that is not necessarily that they're getting better, it's that other teams aren't improving as much. Do you know what I mean? Spain could be winning simply because teams like England and stuff, we're not performing as well as what we should do. So I'm not saying that they don't deserve it and they haven't improved, but it's got to be all relative compared to all the other teams.
Could be a factor.
Yeah. I think it's like a boxer's analogy when they say styles make fights. I think Italy was perfect for Germany to play against. And I think playing against Spain was just too much for them, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Even Portugal played Spain tough in the first, 45 to 70 minutes until, I guess, Spain won in PKs, and we don't have to talk about that.
Tough to watch.
Yeah, I don't think it's that Italy played at substandard level at all. I think that they were among the best teams in the Euro, that they totally deserved second place, and that, under different circumstances, they could have even beaten Spain. And, Spain is pretty consistent, and they're showing no signs of stopping. It's like the article I wrote, where I compared Spain to, persistence hunting. It's exactly that. You tire out your enemy, and then you get in the winning goal.
Yeah, if you get a chance to read Alex's article on our website, Persistence Hunters, Spain Make History, please do. It's a good read.
And that being said, whoever chime up, do we really think Italy ever had a chance? I mean, they did go out there and play. I can't say that they got lazy or,
But for a few breaks in the first half, but for a few breaks in the first half, Italy could have gotten the advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Pirlo had a couple of good cracks at goal. And if those things go in, I think that you might see a different game. But, it was even up through, I would say, the first part of the second half. Although, Spain dominated possession, but Italy were threatening. It was back and forth. And anything could have happened during that time to make the difference. But Spain took the initiative. They took the chances that came to them, and then they just dominated, going away. I think that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Don't forget, Italy went down a man when Thiago Motta got injured because they had, and it was only 2-0. It was only 2-0. So if Italy could have gotten a goal back, if they were in even strength, it could have been a different game. But at that point in time, they went down a man, and Spain just, put it in the fourth gear.
Yeah, when they went down a man, that was that. I mean, for me personally, I tweeted as much. As soon as Spain put the first ball in, I said, that's that. It's done.
Yeah.
Right then, for me, I knew. Louise?
Yeah.
Italy ever have a chance?
No, I totally agree with you. I think as soon as, like you say, like Spain got the first goal, it was kind of a bit disheartening. And, to score 4 goals in any game is pretty impressive. And I think Italy just weren't up to scratch. So, it's a good one to Spain.
But the one thing that I noticed throughout the tournament, they always played as a unit. I never saw them fighting with each other over the ball. Like I watched the Holland do, like I watched England do a little bit, like I watched these other teams. It's like they're fighting for the ball. Like everybody is a glory hound.
Yeah.
I didn't see Spain do any of that. They really went out. It was, no one part is greater than the whole kind of attitude. Do we think any of these other internationals teams took notice of that?
Well, I think you'd have to ask the players and the managers, but I do think that there's a lot to be learned, from how Spain prepared for the tournament to technique to such elementary things as what you said, how the players work together on the pitch and how they get along, despite the fact that some of them are from 2 rival clubs back home, I think that's one of the most impressive things about the team.
Good point.
Let me throw this tidbit in here as well. I mean, most of those guys play together at Barcelona, the majority of them. I mean, do we think that really kind of helps? And if you watch them, they play very similar to that at the national team. That's the system that the national team seems to kind of use, is that Barcelona, very similar to that setup. Love them or hate them, Barcelona is nice to watch. Louise, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, that's definitely gonna make a difference, because the way the English teams play in the Premiership is very, very different to how they play in Europe and stuff. So, in regards to what you were saying, about people being arrogant within the team, I think that's possibly one of the main issues with Italy, because again, of Balotelli, he acts so arrogant because he can get away with it in England, especially. I mean, you've probably heard the numerous stories about how he acts just because he can, and that just creates a bit of disrespect within a team. And if he's going to go into a team with that sort of arrogance that he thinks he's better than others, no one's going to respect him and everyone's going to be wary of him. Whereas obviously the Spanish team don't have that. They've all got mutual respect for each other. No one thinks they're better, and it means they bond more as a team. Whereas when you've got a loose cannon like Balotelli within a team, people aren't going to be so keen, and there's going to be no teamwork there, is there?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Sherrard, what was it that Mancini said about Balotelli during the season, that if he was his teammate, he'd punch him in the head once a day?
Yes, that's exactly what he said.
He was sure enough hugging them after they won the Premier title, though.
Yeah, he was. The same players that he said that weren't going to play ever again.
Tevez, Balotelli, yeah, the list goes on.
God, Tevez.
Lots of integrity on the blue side of Manchester.
Yeah. Oh.
But I digress.
Sherrard, you think the system that Barcelona uses has transferred into that national team and is working for them? Did you buy into that?
I buy into it a little bit. I mean, I buy into a couple of things, especially strong leadership within the team. Because I was reading a story today that's saying that Mourinho tried to ruin Casillas and Xavi's friendship. And Mourinho was trying to ruin a couple of Spanish guys' friendship with players on that team. How many players on the Barca team who are Spanish players? So, I mean, you were hearing things like Sergio Ramos and Gerard Piqué not getting along and Xavi Alonso not getting along with Barcelona players. But, you know, when you have guys like Xavi and Casillas saying, nah, Mourinho, I'm not going to stop being his friend just because he plays for Barcelona. And then bringing that into the national team and telling these guys, hey, we need to play for the greater good. This isn't about Barcelona or Real Madrid. This is about Spain. And some of these other teams, they don't get that, even if they have a strong leader in their position. But they don't get that.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to have to take a little bit of a break for a commercial, but we'll be right back.
Steven?
Yeah?
I'm leaving you. I'm running off with my yoga instructor. We're going to fly to Rome, have bruschetta for lunch, dance in restaurants even though there's no band playing, go skinny dipping, drink Pinot Grigio in the park. I'm not going to wear a bra. I'm going to splash around in a fountain, play hopscotch with young children, smoke a cigar, stay up till all hours of the morning discussing Machiavelli, and gesture incessantly with my hands.
Going for a ride on the Vespa?
Yeah, I'll be back in an hour.
Vespa, the Italian transport legend, now transporting Americans. Vespa has immigrated to the Twin Cities at 7th and Marquette across from IDS. Legendary scooters, fashion accessories, and more. Don't miss the grand opening Thursday, May 16th. All day long, they'll be giving away great prizes. If you're ready to ride, call 612-455-6666. If you just want to salivate, go to Vespa.com.
They say you ought to try something new every day. But like what? Speed dating?
You're just not my type.
It's not you, it's me. I just prefer someone who's better looking.
Yeah. If you want to try something new today, try Michelob Golden Light, the new beer that's cold filtered and draft brewed for an exceptionally smooth taste. Tomorrow you can always try, I don't know, kitten juggling. Michelob Golden Light, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Moving on, we're almost back to EPL season.
Thank God.
Yeah. Oh, man, I'm getting really excited.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I smell a battle coming on.
Look, don't make me get stabby already. Stabby and sling poo, because I'll do it. Transfer window's open. Yeah, he didn't know what to say to that one.
I was just putting it on mute so I don't say nothing wrong. I was talking bad about you on mute.
But you know, we've all heard the news about RVP today, and me being the Gooner fanatic that I am. I'm not really that surprised. And B, it doesn't really bother me. I mean, we've had the dude for eight years, and he's had 18 good months. Yeah, he had a phenomenal season last season, but, you know, we got Podolski. We got the Frenchman, whose name I probably can't pronounce, so I'm not going to try. You know, hopefully Arteta's healthy. Hopefully little Jackie Wilshere is healthy this year. Maybe we bring the world's best player back from Sunderland.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Explain that.
Yeah, I might have to take a flight over and stab him in the neck with a fork.
Hey, he's on a high. He scored 3 goals in the Euro.
He had a good Euro, yeah.
I understand that. Well, I mean, maybe
Different
with some
system,
playing time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm really not worried about the Arsenal. I think we'll do very good this season. I think the only thing that Wenger has to overcome is maybe with, Cesc Nasri, RVP leaving, because hopefully we will sell RVP quickly and get maximum profit for him. We can get probably 2 or 3 players for what we were paying him in wages, which I'm sorry, it's just good business. I'm not going to be a Wenger hater. I think the guy over, we hear about loyalty. Well, there's one person at that club that has been loyal, and that's Wenger.
Yeah.
That's your key right there. Players come and go.
Exactly. I mean, is it my dream come true that he's leaving? No. But at the same time, I'm not worried. Because one player does not he's one player. He doesn't make the entire team. And if we have a healthy squad, we can keep our backs healthy. But I'm obviously buzzing for this. I'm ready for the premiership to start. With that, I'll turn it over to my fellow Gooner, Louise, for a moment.
Yeah, I obviously saw the news today about Van Persie, and I'm the same as you. Really, you can't pin all your hopes on one guy. And I remember when Henri left, everyone was like, "Aren't you worried?" And I was like, "No," because as soon as one guy who's in the limelight moves, it gives someone else a chance to come up. I mean, you look at how Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's been playing, and he's been amazing. And we've got Wiltshire, and we've got new signings and things like this. So I don't think we've got anything to worry about. He had one good season, and who's to say if he wasn't there, one of the other team members wouldn't have played just as well. It's kind of you can't. I mean, everyone says, "Oh, without him, we would have been 16th or whatever," but I don't agree. One man doesn't make a team. It's not like he did everything. He did a lot, but it doesn't mean that we haven't got someone else who's willing to step up for us. If someone leaves and there's a gap there, then someone fills it automatically. That's the thing. But if Van Persie, if he's filling that hole right now, so we don't need anyone else to step up. But once he's gone, then someone else will take his place. So yeah, I'm not worried either. I'm not worried at all.
Happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, Alex.
Yeah, I totally agree. He's one player, and especially after I heard his take on apparently why he's leaving, I wasn't so upset with him leaving Arsenal, because apparently, he was like, "Oh, I disagree with the management and Wenger's philosophy on football and where the club is headed and whatever." And it's like, in all your years of playing for Arsenal, have you ever taken the time to even read Wenger's philosophy in football? Why do you think he's one of the greatest managers out there? A team doesn't have to win the league every season and be a champion all the time to be a good team under a good manager. And I feel like RVP has, this ego issue going, and maybe he and Mario Balotelli switched bodies before the Euro. That would explain a whole lot. And right now it's apparently the situation is that United are fighting City over Van Persie like a pack of vultures, or, Doctor Who, kind of like Doctor Who fans fighting over David Tennant versus Matt Smith.
Yeah.
Partially glad that he's gone, because I don't like what he said about, Wenger and philosophy and everything,
Yeah, I don't want to see him stay in England. I want him to go to Juve, or I want him to go to Spain or Italy. I don't want to see him play in England. But that being said, we all know, anyone that's a Gooner knows that Wenger, at 28 years old, Wenger said, "I'm not giving you more than a 2-year contract." I mean, the man's an economist. He's not dumb. And he'll sit down at the table and, he'll haggle for it. And, I'm sure Van Persie, not getting more than a 2-year contract was like, I do get hurt. I know I get hurt. That's what he's thinking in his head. I want more than a 2-year contract.
It's business.
Yeah, it is business. And again, there's one person that's remained loyal to Arsenal, and that's Wenger.
And he's had a lot of stick as well recently, a lot of stick, because obviously we haven't won anything in quite a significant amount of time. But it's not the teams that win things were like, I mean, Man City and Chelsea. Someone's come in with loads of money and poured loads of money, and that's not a team. They've just come in and they've brought a team. Whereas Arsenal, and I mean, I'll give credit where credit's due. Like even Manchester United, they are a team. They've grown together. They haven't just got hundreds of thousands of pounds and brought all these people in, exactly like Roman Abramovich did with Chelsea, and exactly what's happened with Man City. And that's what's ruining football at the minute. That's what's making teams like Arsenal perhaps not do as well as what they are. Because how are we supposed to compete when all this money is being spent on other teams, and we only have so much?
Oh, I agree, Dre. I'm gonna quote, you being a United supporter. Just like you and I have spoken with. I mean, how long did it take Sir Alex to build the quality that he has now?
Yeah, that's about the time I started to follow in the late 80s. And you look at his situation when he came to the club, they hadn't won since 68, the title. They had no youth program to speak of. They had a bunch of boozers in the team. And what he did in a matter of 4 years, because it took him 4 years to win a trophy, the year before they were threatening his job. But look what he's done since. And it takes time to build it. Now, managers are not getting that time today. And, with these big money bags that are coming in, I think, to Louise's point, I think that is one of the huge problems in the game across the board. But, speaking of Manchester United, besides the transfer news, the big news coming out is with the ownership, with the Glazers having the idea to float the team again on the New York Stock Exchange. And they're trying to do this to put a dent in an enormous debt they saddled the club with. Basically, they've taken the club that was doing well in the black and put them so far in the red, it's affected the way that they've been able to work in the transfer market and even compete with the likes of Manchester City, and Chelsea and whatnot. And I think that that's the type of thing that really gets under my skin about the game. But the game, because it's open, it's an open league, it'll self-correct. We see it happening in Scotland now with, Glasgow Rangers are out and somebody else is going to take their place. That's just the way it works. If you don't do a good job of with your finances and you make stupid decisions in the transfer market, you'll find your team out of the league. And that's the way it should be.
Absolutely.
And so, it's all very interesting stuff. I think the transfer season has just really begun. There's a lot of rumors, and there are a lot of agents putting stories out there to pump up the value of their clients. And so we're probably going to have to wait a little, especially after this Euro stuff has gone on. Wait a little while, see what happens, see how things even out. And I think we'll get a better idea of what's been going on. But there's a lot of stories from the top of the league, and I wish Kurt was on. I'd like to hear what he has to say about Sunderland. With what's going on there with O'Neill and the amount of money that he does not have as opposed to these big juggernauts at the top. But it's going to be interesting. It'll be something to do until the league itself starts.
Yeah, I mean, we do have to look at, to some degree, against modern football.
Yeah.
But again, there's a piece of me that, like you said, it's going to self-correct. Austerity is starting to come in. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to help the situation immensely and kind of even things back out. And yeah, you have to look at the Etihad. You got oil money. You look over to Stamford Bridge. You got a Russian arms dealer.
Mobster.
Yeah, I mean, how do you compete with that? Who knows? Maybe the Russian over there at the Chavs, maybe he's telling his players, if you leave, I know where your family lives.
That's very controversial.
Yeah, I mean, you never know with those Chavs. I mean, they put the Burberry on and all bets are off. I mean, come on.
Dangerous at the top.
On this topic, Sherrard, I'm going to shoot it to you. As far as footballers for the Euro, who do you think really stands out? Who do you think? We'll say the three major leagues of La Liga, Serie A, and the EPL. With those three leagues, who do you think the standout players were at the tournament that are not playing in those leagues right now that teams are going to try to gobble up?
It's a good question. Obviously Zagoev, but I think he should probably steer clear from England because Russians do not have a good track record in England.
No.
Ask Arshavin.
Yeah.
Ask Roman Pavlichenko. And ask that guy from Everton, which name just I'm not even going to try it. I'm not even going to try to butcher his name. I think he's a good player. Anybody else? Maybe Robert Lewandowski. Probably, United was linked with him, but he's kind of disappeared from the rumor mills as far as I can hear or read about. But that's about it that I could think of at the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm just not seeing a lot on the hot sheets.
Because most of the guys who did well are in the big three clubs anyway.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
even that guy from the Czech Republic, the right back, he's already signed for a German club, so he's already snapped up anyways.
Yeah. Okay, Alex.
Yeah, I would agree that Lewandowski is probably one of the players that teams are looking at. Maybe Balotelli and Shevchenko. Pirlo, not sure, but who knows. But I do think the EPL would, which has a lot of respect for veteran players, would probably be betting on someone like Shevchenko. So you never know who might end up transferring. And I was going to say that there's been new managers coming on after the Euro, like Slaven Bilic, who managed the Croatia national team, recently started training Lokomotiv Moscow in the RPL, and that club is just getting lucky in the transfer window, and I'm not even going to get into that. Unlike my club, which is just, we have people leaving and like 1 million people on loan. So unfortunately for us, it's not looking that well.
Well, I'll ask you this, Alex. Do you think maybe Russians don't do so good in the EPL because there's not a huge supply of borscht?
I knew that was coming. Before you got on the air, I knew that question was coming.
Moving right along.
This guy,
I can feel it in the force.
This guy.
Awkward silence.
This guy.
The borscht.
It's like you just got borscht.
Yeah.
Moving on.
I wonder, do you think they have, England has their chippy carts or chippy trucks?
I mean, that's like asking.
America has its hot dog
us,
stands.
Dude,
Does Moscow or Kiev, do they have borscht carts?
Give it to him, Alex.
That's like asking if Serie A players when they get out on loan, like why they don't do it well in other leagues. Is it because there's not enough spaghetti out there and pizza?
Well, there's not proper macaroni. That's correct.
Good Lord.
Absolutely. Bad semolina flour.
We were talking about football a
I'm
moment
about to
ago.
go to sleep.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, I think it's just that, like any other league, especially the EPL, it's just very competitive. There's so many good players out there, and there's just not enough space for everyone. So if you're not like good enough, or if you're 2 steps behind somebody else, you're just gonna get sidetracked or benched all the time, and then end up either on loan somewhere or transferring to another club.
Yeah, or generally unhappy. So I know it's early in the transfer market. Louise, are you hearing anything there? You see anything on the hot sheets or on the web, hearing rumors about who's going where. I mean, ABB to the Spuds.
Yeah, that literally all just came, like, I saw it all today on Twitter, to be honest, and I had a lot of my followers on Twitter tell me about it. But there's been a suggestion about Van Persie going to City. If that was to happen, that would be highly controversial, and I really hope it wouldn't, because that just shows he's moving for money, which is a bit disappointing, really, because it shouldn't be that. I know, because I retweeted a tweet that I think you did earlier, what Ray Parlour said, you know. Remember when, you know, we used to be happy to have a contract, not just for the money. But, the only one I've really sort of been looking at, obviously, and keeping an eye on has been the Van Persie one, just to kind of see what happens. Because it's, you know, it's late. We've only got, like, 6 or 7 weeks until our first game. So it'd kind of be nice to know what's going on now with him and stuff. So, but, yeah, I'd like him to go outside of England, you know, outside of the Premier League.
Can you imagine the firestorm if he went to City with Balotelli and Tevez and Dzeko? I mean, how would that work out?
And that twat Nasri.
Yeah, forget about him. But
God,
how on earth would that even work? I mean,
the thing is, he'll move to another team and he won't be the big man there. That's the thing. That's the mistake he's making. He's got a good place at Arsenal. You know, he is an important team member. He'll go to another team and he won't be that important, and he'll feel a little bit out of his depth, I think.
It seems like though this year coming up would be the year for him if he stays healthy because of the support that Wenger's bringing in. So he's not the guy anymore. It seems like if he just stuck around one more year, he'd get what he wants.
I mean, who says anyone else is going to give him more than a 2-year contract as well? This is what I can't understand. Because that's what he's like, primarily he's annoyed about, is that they won't give him any more than a 2-year contract. But, you know, it's very doubtful that anyone else is going to really, after his history, like his injury history, and like we said, how long he's been at Arsenal and how well he's actually performed. When you look at that in perspective, he's not actually performed that well. Just this past season, he's actually made an impact.
Right, and let's ask ourselves this: how many 1-year contracts did Bergkamp sign?
Yeah,
a lot, like 5 or 6. It seems like everyone is a mercenary at this point. You know, no one has any loyalty anywhere. I think the only team that I do see that seems to, well, I mean, you got your Evertons, and those folks seem to be pretty loyal. But, you know, Sir Alex, he seems to have some loyalty around there.
Yeah.
Not for nothing. He really, I mean, Scholes just signed another contract.
Yeah.
I mean, Scholes and Giggs. Both of them are getting ancient.
It's a unique situation there.
Yeah.
I think it has all to do with Ferguson and his tenure at the club. I think you'll see a vast change when he's gone.
Well, I mean, just as a reminder to everyone, I just got to remind everyone of this. Spurs suck.
You don't say.
Daft twat. And Spuds eat stray cats.
So you're on the fence. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. But moving on from there, I want to move, you know, and not everyone, there's really 3 of us on here, but everyone can chime in on this. Our local here in Atlanta has gotten, for the rest of the season, maybe into the off season a little bit, we've retained the services of Eric Wynalda. Yes, the Fox pundit himself. Me personally, I like the man. I'm probably the only Arsenal supporter in the known universe that likes the man. But I like the man. He speaks his mind. He's hard-nosed. I think he's going to do some good at the club. He has a vision, I believe. Hopefully I'll talk to him tomorrow and we'll really sort through that. But I'm wondering if he's really going to shake things up, or is he just going to piss everybody off? Dre?
Anything is better than what we had.
Right.
I think I can think of no better tonic for Atlanta right now than Wynalda. And I think a large part, the lack of discipline on and off the field,
Right.
the lack of strategy and tactics, no confidence. You had players not showing up for training. And once you got to training, there was no training. There was running around and kicking a ball.
Right.
I went to several trainings, and it was like that.
Yep.
Dude, I could do that.
Yeah, I mean, Sherrard would have been a star. Sorry.
I'm telling you, the way they played, I would walk away some Saturday nights,
embarrassing.
right, shaking my head, and I would watch my U15. I'd be training them Monday afternoon, and I'd go, Jesus, these guys play more organized than the first team. How is that? I'm no wizard. How are they more organized and have crisp, on the ground passes? It's where I watch this first team, and everything's, put up front to our 5'6" striker in the air instead of on his foot. I don't.
What I like best about Wynalda, and regardless of feelings getting hurt and people getting offended and all this useless crap when it comes to a football team.
Yeah.
What I like best is the fact that he's going to bring instant discipline to the players. Yeah. There's not going to be I saw players mouthing off at Chacon and Chacon walking away from it. You have to command respect, and players have to listen to you, and they have to have some direction. There was none of that. That's why you have a team like Carolina who started out just as poorly, Sherrod, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season, but look where they are now. Look where they're not much further than Atlanta, but they're improving. They're playing well. They just beat us again.
Yep. Again.
Yeah. And look at San Antonio, first year in the league, first place.
Yep.
Somebody's doing something right with very little time. We've had a lot of time since last season to put something together, and we're worse than last season.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just don't think Chacon's just the manager.
No.
I don't think he has those people skills to do it. And
nice guy. Nice guy.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I say it myself. He's a nice guy. I said in the article, nice guy, but I don't think you're going to get the man management that you need from him. And I don't think he can get that fiery with the players enough to where, they can respect him. It sounds like from the training sessions that you went to is that he was being the same as the assistant coach, where he just kind of shrug it off and think that, the head coach will do his job, but he is the head coach. Yeah. So.
And I don't think Chacon just ever got there. I think he was afraid to have any of his people be upset with him. Yeah. Afraid to be like, look, that bullshit's going to cease. See this contract? I can put it in the trash, and you can go play somewhere else if you want to act like that.
Especially at that level.
Exactly. I'm really stoked for Wynalda. He's not a typical American when it comes to this game. He thinks differently than your typical American does about the game, which is nice. It's what we need. It's what we need countrywide in all our leagues, is that different train of thought. Think outside the American corporate box.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sherrod, you got any thoughts?
He just needs to change the culture of that squad, that organization in general.
Absolutely.
And once he's able to do that, it'll get better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Wynalda will probably help improve the team. It looks like his record, judging by his record, that he's had a lot more experience as a player than as a manager. But at the same time, that's, with that kind of trail of thought, I think he is going to be the one to think outside of the box, because, that's a very sort of different resume than, say, someone who has barely been on the pitch but has managed a lot of teams. It doesn't necessarily mean that that person is better as a manager,
right.
But at the same time, it doesn't mean like if you were a good player in the past that you'll make a great manager. But I think that judging by his record that he's been to different leagues, that, his work on ESPN and everything, I think that he's going to bring a lot of authority to the club.
I mean, let's not fool ourselves. This is as much for him as it is for the club itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Oh, that's fine too. Yeah.
I'm totally okay with that. Because maybe, he brings some of those Cal FC kids over here. Because they're very nice to watch play. Those Cal FC kids understand the game. And, and maybe it just broadens horizons for some footballers out there that might not otherwise get the chance.
Do you think that some of those older foreign players might go to the wayside or might, be like, oh, I'm not dealing with this?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think I was honestly, with the lineup he put out on Saturday against your side, Sherrard.
Yeah.
The only surprise there was to me was that O'Brien started and not Tercios. I would have started Tercios instead of O'Brien, but that's just my preference for many reasons.
He didn't do too bad though.
Right. Well,
I'll give him credit.
Yeah. Whatever. I think it was finally someone has the vision to stick Carr and Horth up front together.
Well, and give him some time to work with the team. He just got, he literally flew in and went to Cary and met the team shortly before the game, really, as far as strategy and team selection. Now he has a week to work with them. Or, half a week.
And I get it. Navia is a 65th minute sub.
Exactly, yeah. He should be a super sub. No way he should be starting with his knees.
Exactly. That's what he is. But moving on from there, guys, this has been a good one. I've enjoyed the banter tonight. Any general thoughts or talking or anything like that? We'll start with you, Louise.
Yeah, I want to get into this, your American football, soccer, whatever you call it. I was listening to you talk. I want to know now. I was like...
Go for it.
Who should I be following then? Who's the team to be following? I'm intrigued.
You got to understand there. Alex is kind of on the fence a little bit. Sherrard follows the domestic game. For me and Dre Footy, I can't stand our domestic game. I think our footballers here get wasted. There's no promotion relegation. It's not compelling. You know who's going to be where season to season. There's no movement. It's not compelling to me. And honestly, I would not pay attention to anything except my U15 and U11 kids if we did not have, a local team here in Atlanta. And it wouldn't bother me at all.
Hey, listen, I want to talk a little bit about this because I am pretty well hated here domestically because of my views, okay? And a lot of it's misunderstood. I really want the United States to be the best they can be in the domestic league. I believe our own federation, and in many cases our own fans, undermine the talent potential by accepting the changes that have destroyed football in this country, from the grassroots level on up to the top. Closed leagues, youth programs that are not cooperating together is destroying it, and I'm not going to accept it just because it's here.
Yeah.
Now, if people want to hate me for that, that's fine. But the point being for me is that U.S. needs to show some humility and realize that the world does the game better than us. Yep. It's not a situation where we're just so special we have to use single entity in the MLS and impose parity and isolate ourselves to survive. What are we? I mean, the game is not that complicated. And I'm tired of this defeatist attitude. And it's not just because I hate domestic soccer. I don't hate it. But the solution is all around us. And we ignore it. We continuously ignore it out of some kind of pompous attitude that we're just different than everybody else, and we have to do it differently to survive,
Yeah.
So no one can tell me that open leagues will not work in this country And that's arguably the most commercial and ad-driven system on the planet. They can't figure this out. Add to this, we haven't ever tried open leagues before, which work in the poorest countries on the globe to the richest, in open markets and closed markets. Yet we always say that we need closed leagues.
We're not ready.
Yeah, we're not ready. We need closed leagues. A system that has always failed since we started, playing the game back in 1894. Closed leagues have never succeeded, in bringing competition and building the game. Yeah, you got a nice solid business model with the MLS, but that's only good for the billionaire owners because they got a security that's guaranteed. Does nothing for competition or for the fans. That's my problem with the game here. It's not that I don't love the game, or it's not that I don't want MLS or domestic soccer to succeed. I want it to. I just think we're doing it wrong. And that's why I kind of, I can sit down and watch an MLS game and enjoy it. I go to the Atlanta games. I cover the amateur leagues here. I go and videotape them. I commentate on them. So I'm involved, but if you ask me how much I want to get involved, it's going to be minimal until they change. And I'm not going to compromise what I like to watch because it's just here, So, that's it.
Yeah. Louise, you kind of understand now?
But I digress.
Yeah, no, I got that. I can see. I think because obviously in England, like football is part of us, part of our culture, and it's not quite the same over there. So there's not as much passion. It's one of the things I've found since I've majorly got into my football as I've grown up. The passion that surrounds football is intense, absolutely intense. And no matter where you go, you always find someone who you can have a nice debate about. And I guess if over in America, you don't have the leagues like we have, and it's not the same, you're not going to have the same passion and the same love and stuff. So I understand where you're coming from, totally.
Yeah. If you go, myself and a guy called Ted Westervelt do some podcasts, kind of more or less what's wrong with the domestic game.
Cool.
And if you listen to some of those, you can kind of get a better feeling for really kind of what's wrong with it. I mean, with the exception of India right now, because their league is young and they don't even have enough teams to have promotion relegation.
Yeah, it's almost an exhibition league.
Yeah,
at
the moment. But Australia going to promotion relegation.
Yep.
South Korea going to promotion relegation.
United States will be the only FIFA nation without it.
Right.
In 2 years' time.
And it's one of those things, like in this country, kids, they're paying up to, almost $2,000 sometimes to play club level, U15, U17 footy, and they're not really getting taught anything. I mean, there's no way you could put many of our, quote unquote, elite youth clubs up against, an elite youth club in England. The elite youth club in England would destroy them, and that's just because of the coaching, and only a certain class of people can go and play this club footy, because the poor people don't have the money to do that.
Yeah, no, I have a friend of mine, and he's going over to, I'm not sure what team it is, he's going over to America to play. I'll have to find out and let you know, who he's playing for, but I know he's going over, in the next month or so. So, it can't all be bad. But
well, yeah, I guess. I guess. I'll leave it there. I don't like it. It could be a lot better. And for me, it's more in regards to opportunities for the kids to play.
Yeah,
and
fair enough.
Yeah,
check out the podcast. It goes into a lot more detail. I sent you a link.
Yeah.
Oh, wicked. Thank you.
Yeah.
Lovely.
But anyway, moving on. What other thoughts you got, Louise?
I did want to ask as well, because it was in the kind of brief as well about Spurs and Levy, what everyone thought about that with Redknapp and stuff. Because I personally think he made a massive, massive mistake. Obviously, being an Arsenal fan, there's very little times am I going to show my support for Spurs, but Redknapp, I believe, has been one of the best things that's happened to them.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate they didn't finish top four, and that was more that was more out of bad luck with Chelsea, to be honest, because no one thought Chelsea was going to win the Champions League. So, but yeah, they haven't given him a chance. Yeah, he kind of created a lot of with all the England job and all that sort of thing. There was a lot of speculation and stuff, but still, they were fourth, and that's good. That's really, really good for them. I mean, they could have finished above us if they wouldn't have, the whole mind the gap jokes and stuff. If they wouldn't have done that, they would have been amazing. So I believe that he deserves another year. I think they're cutting him off a bit too short. But yeah, I was wondering what you guys thought as well.
Oh, I'm right there. Not that I want them to do good, but that was dumb. I can't understand the thinking behind that. I have to believe that there's something more going on than I understood, because that just from an outsider looking in, why would you do that?
I think it was mostly because of they had a 10-point lead with above us, and they lost that, and it was all the time when there was a speculation that obviously that Redknapp was going to be England manager. Now, I mean, I don't really know whether Harry Redknapp said anything to support these claims, but I think that's what Levy believes, that because of all kind of the hassle going with that lost Spurs, third place. So I think he just doesn't believe Harry's for the job, but Harry's turned him around. He really has turned him around, and I think he would have been foolish not to give him a second year where he's not going to have the distractions of possibly, possibly being given the England job and things like this.
Amen. I think that, Redknapp was the best thing to come to Spurs in some time. And there were intangibles, like you say, with the tax situation that he went through and the England speculation. You had a lot of mercenary type players playing well. And things happen, distractions happen. It might have cost them that fourth place spot, but they were poised now, if they kept with him, to do something better this season. And now they're going to start over with basically a manager who failed last year in London.
Well,
and, let me put it this way. You had a proven manager who was doing well with your team. You've gone out and gotten another good manager. I think AVB is a good manager, and he proved it in Porto. But he failed in the situation he was in Chelsea, so there's that uncertainty. And I think that is a factor with players.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I believe AVB is a good manager, but why would you take out somebody who's already proven himself and replace somebody that is so-so? Maybe he'll do well.
I mean, I think the agreement, a kind of, probably non-contracted, unwritten agreement, was that Redknapp would have to get them into Europe next year. Obviously, because of Chelsea winning the Champions League, that didn't happen. But as I said before, that was sheer bad luck. Everyone thought that Munich was going to win. So I don't think that Harry should necessarily be, blamed for that. Yeah, okay, he messed up with all of these issues that were going on. With 10 points is a big gap. A big gap to mess up with another team, but still, bringing in another manager, I just don't think it's gonna. I think Levy's gonna regret it, and he's gonna have a lot of people who are thinking exactly the same as what we are. So.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing with Redknapp. You have a known quantity. You kind of know what to expect out of him somewhat. And now with AVB, we all know, just because of the type of manager he is, he's going to have to come in and he's going to have to get the players to buy into his system, because he doesn't play the same system that Redknapp plays. There's going to be a lot of things getting swapped up, and our Spurs supporters going to have patience with a mid-level season, possibly. If all the team doesn't buy into that AVB system, you're going to finish mid-table for 1 year until AVB sorts his staff out.
I fear for him.
Yeah.
I was going to say that I think one of the reasons that they kicked Redknapp out was probably the whole taxing scandal thing. But, I wasn't a fan of his to begin with. After the whole him never putting Pavlyuchenko on the field.
Biased.
It's personal.
It just got personal. But going back to the importance of good managers. There's right now Russian national team is still managerless, and apparently there's no candidates. But Fabio Capello looks interested, and I think we should take him on. My team, Dynamo Moscow, has given their manager a contract extension rather than a new contract, like a second chance to patch things up, basically. But I hope they find some new guy in the middle of the season and fire the current manager. Honestly, I hope they find a former EPL guy or someone from La Liga, like, Spartak Moscow just got Unai Emery, Valencia's former manager, who got the team to 3rd place in La Liga. So if we can get someone like that, I feel like that's going to do a lot for the team, regardless of the fact that we have practically the whole team leaving into other clubs.
Hey, Alex, how do you think Dynamo is going to do in the coming season?
I think it's going to be tough because under the current manager, his relations with the players are not good with most of the players. Maybe pretty much okay with the goalkeepers, but I don't know. On one hand, the players that he's not getting along with have left the club, or in Veroni's case, he's looking for another club. On the other hand, it's like his whole problem with getting along with the players, I don't think it's just gonna randomly change. I was reading one of his interviews lately, and he's just obnoxious, and I just fear for the club in the coming season, and I don't think I'll be able to watch them getting pummeled by like clubs like Zenit, and losing like 5-0 or something. It would just be terrible. I hope that they get away with tying in some of those games, and hopefully the club management finally opens their eyes and we get a real manager in here.
Well, while we're just on the subject, real quick, Sherrard, you got any
Valencia.
Yeah, news on Valencia?
I hate Barcelona.
Enough said.
Well, yeah.
Thank you and good night.
I mean, they got a super midget on their team.
Hey.
Yeah, he's all right.
He's going to be their replacement at left back.
Valencia going to have any money this year?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, we're buying cheap. We're buying young, but we're selling away the crap we have on our team, or supposed crap we have on our team, except for Alba. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think we'll get a Champions League spot this year, though. I think this is going to be one of those years we'll probably be at 6th or 7th, challenging for Europa, but I don't think it's going to be this year.
Transition year?
Yeah. I mean, we got a new manager.
The new manager, too. I was just going to ask about that. Do you know anything about this guy, Pellegrino?
He assisted for Rafa Benitez. He's a ex-Valencia player, ex-Liverpool. I think he played at Liverpool for a little bit, but
yeah, he was an assistant at Liverpool, I believe.
Yeah.
Also,
Ooh,
yeah.
Is that Scouser?
Yep.
Ooh.
Leaves a bad taste in the mouth.
God, it does.
Yeah, this is his first managerial experience, so we'll see what happens. I'm not really that confident, but
I can hear the excitement in your voice.
Yeah.
Hopefully he proves me wrong.
I mean, did he move a caravan into the ground?
Oh, God. You think they can get Bettner?
Yeah.
I'm just interested to see what Valencia's former manager is going to do in the RPL. I think that'll be very interesting to see his influence there.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I don't know. I don't see it from him.
Well, guys, I'm gonna wrap it. Thanks for the banner this week, and we'll get back to it next week.